So good afternoon. It's Saturday afternoon and it's one of almost the last days at festival. And we have another panel here. This time we will be talking my vision versus my life. And as you can see, we have full army of beautiful ladies here on stage today. And the idea was that we'll be sharing our experiences. How is it to be a woman producer? And what is that part of daily work joys versus struggles we have? How do we manage in the same time to have family and kids while we are doing what we do? And on my right-hand side, I have Anamaria Antoci from Romania, and then Racha Larsen from Norway, and Iva Plemic from Belgrade. And in a second, we'll also get Dragana Jovović to join us, Jovović, sorry, from Serbia. And you can see her on the screen. So I will just pass the word just on my right, one by one, to introduce themselves, a bit more about your work, and then we do another round and we see how we get.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction, Irena. So I'm Mariantoch. I'm a film producer, a Romanian film producer. I run a company called Tangaj Production, and I'm producing feature films and documentary films and shorts, and yeah, that's my life in general. Art house films and international co-productions. I think that's.
My name is Racha Helen Larsen, and I'm a Norwegian producer, creative producer. And recently I've become a festival director, starting a new festival for artistic creative documentaries. And we try to make films that stand out cinematically. So this is about me.
My name is Iva Plemic. I come from Belgrade, from Serbia. I'm a producer. I do mostly documentaries, and I'm developing a fiction feature. I also worked for a couple of years in the humanitarian sector for Doctors Without Borders, which is also a kind of a production job. And I'm also a mother of a Philip.
Mine is also Philip. I'm also a mother of Philip.
Then we have Dragana up there.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dragana Jovović. I'm from Serbia. My company is Non-Aligned Films, and I have another one with that is called Theory at Work. I'm producing documentaries and feature as well. And I'm also at the moment working as producer at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Belgrade. And I'm a mother of one Vuksha.
You don't hear me? Oops. Yes, now they hear me. Well, I'm also mother of one Atish Noah, 7.5 years boy. It seems like it's all boys here tonight.
All boys.
Beautiful. So maybe we should start by how it all happened. Like when we make a film, we have this pre-production development phase. I guess, I don't know if you had any of the pre-production planning and development phase for the kid, and was it, were there some doubts or anything?
Well, while in films, at some point you scout for projects, and at some point you find the right one, and you say, okay, let's jump into developing it further. So probably I just ran into the right man. So so I really had the courage to start developing a plan of having a child, and yeah, it was an easy decision to take. So yeah, I just think it starts with the right partner that you feel will be supporting you, and that most important, you will not be alone into this journey. So yeah, having a partner that is there and sharing responsibilities and everything, I think that's the most, same as a production where you must be sure that you do have the right collaboration with your director in order to deliver the project. So I think it's this would be like an analogy with the personal life on this level of having a child?
For me, I'm working. My husband is working also in the industry. So, and we've been together for 9 years before we eventually decided that we actually can have a child, because we knew how much time consuming and how much we need to work to eventually get where you want to go. So we always postponed and postponed and postponed, and eventually I became too old almost to postpone it even more. So I had to either I get a child now or I do it. I will not have a child. And this is also the thing is, in our environment working with films, you always are working 140%. So this is why it was a difficult decision to finally say yes. And now I have one.
We're talking a lot. The director that is together with me at the company, Horopter Film Production, Mladen Kovačević, he's a father of a son, and we discuss often, what's fair, what's not fair. Are we equal? In which way we are equal? My husband is not from this industry. He does something completely different, has a completely different way of perceiving work, job obligations, schedule, and passion for what you do. We've been together for a long time, and it's somehow taken for granted that what I do is not just a job. It's a way of living, and I like it to be a bigger part of my life than just something that someone pays me for. But it's not like it's not a struggle. Since I have a child, it's been a real struggle, because I'm always questioning myself. What amount of indulging yourself, even though it's about just doing your work, should we even perceive it as indulging myself, or should we, it's really a gray area, and I'm even super anxious to talk about it now, because I don't have the answers.
How about you, Dragana?
So sorry, I have a little boy who just woke up, so he's just next to me. How we decided? Yeah, my partner and me, we are together like for 20 years or something, and we were talking a lot before having a kid, like should we have one at all? And at one moment we just decided like, okay, let's go for it, let's do it, and and we did it. And it happened in a very moment when I supposed to shoot a feature fiction film, for which we were fundraising for like 7 years before that. So it was like the moment when I would not like to be pregnant at all, but that happened. And I think it managed quite well, because when you're pregnant, I don't know what happens basically, but that kind of protected me from all the stress that was happening during the shooting. So basically when we were shooting, I was in my 8th and 9th months of pregnancy. And some would say that was crazy, but that was actually very cool, because no one could have called me during shooting and tell me like if something bad was happening. They were all afraid of me. So I was protected in a way. And I don't know, I mean, it's super difficult and challenging, but it's also the most beautiful thing in life that we could do.
Beautiful, thank you. And then I guess when we know that we want to be mothers, nothing can stop us. It's not by accident also that we do this profession, which is almost like James Bond in a female version. So I guess it's not even questioning, can we do it? And many female colleagues that I meet on my path that don't have kids yet, they're always like, oh, is it possible? When is the right time? And I would always say, anytime it's right time. And I don't think here it is, the little boy with Dragana. Hello. So I don't think it's even question, is it possible or not? Because as I said, mission impossible, it's possible for us. But I wonder, how is it in your countries? Is there any system made for it that you actually get some support, that you, because I guess in some countries you have some days or months or years off that it's paid. The only difference in this job, I guess, even if we can get it, first, I guess it's a question, can we get it? And then if we can get it, do we take it? So is there any kind of support in each of those countries you come from for this particular reasons once when, and not only for filmmakers, I guess, but for any female, for women working and being mother?
I think that before going there and to personally how I did it, I was like, I don't want to analyze it because it's like I think we all the time step and we take all these complicated projects. And as Dragana said, she was so stressed. She was, we take this project and we work so hard and we are all the time stressed. And if you will think about it, I think it will take years until you decide it. So I think it's better if you feel that you want a child, just go and do it. Don't think because things will just arrange themselves somehow and actually you will be probably better. It's just maybe don't do it if you just feel that I have to do it because otherwise it will be too late. But if you think no project will going to stop you to do it, or maybe you can do as you said, think about the financial aspects and so on. But again, it's of course there is I think that all of us, as we are in this industry and we are doing our own projects and basically we are the one that are financing it and so on. Of course there is in Romania there is some support that the state can provide. You can choose if you want to stay 1 year or 2 years. Personally, what I did is everyone was asking, of course, what are your plans? I said, I don't want to plan it because it's something I've never done before. So maybe I just arranged a bit the things that in case I won't be able to handle. I was also like 2 months after my giving birth, I was starting a feature film production. And what I did, I was arrange things that in case I won't be able to be much present there for things to happen. So I didn't want to put pressure. It's like, oh my God, I will be away for 3 months or 6 months. No, I just said, I will see how it is. And it was really good. Actually, I never stopped working. Maybe in the first 5 months, I was more home, but my partner was also involved quite a lot. And what we said from the beginning is that as we both work in this industry, we said we should just be prepared for any of us to handle the child alone. So if I travel for a few days, for him to be super okay to take care of the baby. And actually, this is what we did from the beginning. And that, yeah, of course, you think about the financial aspects. And I think maybe specific to the film industry and to creative industry in general is that we work a lot as freelancer. We have our own companies. Maybe you're not hired in Romania. You can get that support, which is not that high, only in some specific conditions, and usually it's more difficult for artists to access it. But I think it just takes a bit of, as we do all these budgets and things as producers, it's not that complicated to think of it and to arrange it for you to be okay. So I think it continues to be related to our company and our work, and I never thought that I will just step down for some months, even to be completely out. And indeed, it didn't happen. So I was somehow connected. I just maybe delegate more.
In Norway, we actually have a support system where it gives you almost 1 year a child support when you get pregnant, and where the mother girl gets about 6 months and the father gets 3 months. But again, this is where I feel we differ as a filmmakers and working in the culture sector, is that I've never ever worked as much as during my pregnancy leave. Every time there was the kid was sleeping, it was application, trying to do a plan, blah, 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 blah. So this is the topic. Where is that? Okay, we have finances, but we still are struggling because the industry requires so much of us all the time, too much to survive, both economically and to be on the level that people don't forget you. And this is the dilemma. And if we continue, and this is why a lot of us becomes stressed out, burnt out, because you work so much and even more than 160% to level out. So yes, the system is perfect in Norway, but still not for the people working in art.
Serbia, being a part of ex-Yugoslavia, has this, I wouldn't say communist, but still, socialist kind of perceiving parenthood, well, motherhood rather, because women get 1 year off. Maternity leave is 1 year off. You are getting almost all of your salary, while men get 2 weeks off, which says a lot about how the state perceives the role of a father when the newborn comes to home. When I got pregnant, I was working in a Doctors Without Borders mission in Belgrade. It was a migration mission. It was an emergency mission, so it was a few years of very, very intense work. And this is just before I got pregnant, I almost got expatriated, which means that I would go somewhere else to work in a mission, which is abroad. And basically, this is where I decided that that's not the path I'm going to take. Because if I'm going to be a mother, I don't want to put myself in these kind of challenges. It just felt too much. Before MSF, I was working as a producer. So I took 3 years because it just felt that this is something I need to do at that time. But it coincided that on the day when I found out I was pregnant, I was contacted by Mladen Kovačević, who I work with now in our production company, a director, who told me, I want to work on a new project with you. And I said, ha, you will have to wait for 2 years. And he said, no, just let's talk, you can take your time, you can just, help me in a way. And so basically throughout my whole pregnancy, I was working on Merry Christmas Eve, which we just presented in a previous session. And it's interesting what you said, Irena. It's not about whether we have a possibility. Okay, I had the possibility to take 1 year off, but whether we take it or not. Because I had this possibility to take it because I was employed at MSF. I was not a freelance producer, because freelance producers, they don't have any opportunity to take a year off because no one will pay them. No maternity leave exists for freelancers in Serbia. But even though I had a work collaborator who was super understanding and really let me take my time and do whatever I think is possible, but I didn't let myself. And I always say this to all my pregnant friends and and young mothers, with small children. I will never forget, applying for media when my son was 3 months old, which was, no one asked that from me. And I remember, doing it and, crying and being completely hysterical and just, this is something that this was downright, a violence to oneself, because, no one asks you to do these things. No one asks you to push yourself so much. And I do blame myself, but I also, am trying to figure out why are we so pressured to do silly things like that.
we put pressure on ourselves, so more than the rest.
But it's amazing. I mean, to do something which is so counterproductive and out of, I don't know, out of fear, out of wanting to prove something to yourself, out of, you know, wanting to say, yes, now I have a child, but I'm equally, you know, I'm gonna jump right into that fire. Well, you shouldn't.
Dragana, how about you?
I agree with all that has been said so far, and I can add that while when I got the baby, I'm working in a company, but I'm attached to the company as an entrepreneur, something like that. So I had this maternity leave that country gave me, but it was like super low, as I was on minimum wage or something. So that is in Serbia, if you're an entrepreneur, that's really like very, very bad, even though they are like saying that being entrepreneur is the best thing you can do in these days. But I wanted to say, to add on what Diva said just now, nobody is pushing you except that you are pushing yourself. And I think that when I became a mother, I'm feeling this guilt all the time. The guilt that I'm not good enough at work, or that I'm not present enough at work, or that I'm not good enough at home. So it's always like, you know, there is this feeling that you cannot escape. Even though, I mean, it happened to me, I mean, few times that when I was away, for example, I was at Ji.hlava for 7 days, and my son was super sick, like for the whole 7 days, burning with fever of 40 degrees. And his dad, I mean, my partner, he's amazing, and he's like, he took care of everything. He even didn't want to tell me that that's happening, but you know, that happens. So you're like half present there and then half present at the other side, even though you cannot do anything because you're not there. And like, I have a feeling that every time I had a deadline, my son got sick. So I was not sleeping, and I was like writing applications. So as Eva said, I mean, you're really not forced to do that. You really have to chill out a bit.
What is it that we can do to stop ourselves?
What I felt after I had my child is that I cannot, before everything, every deadline was like life and death situation, and every project I was stressing myself out. But somehow after I had the child, I understood that in life there are things that all of a sudden you have something that it's much important, and you worry about your child, and all the time you want to, and then all of a sudden all the work related stuff were not, I didn't took them as crisis or like super, super important. And I understood, I think that was the moment when I started to think that I really need to have a team, and that I don't want to have that much responsibility on my own, because I felt there were like super many things that I was the only one able to handle. So I think it helped me enough. And now I have a team. We are 3 people, and I think it's working just great, because I understood that something can happen, as Dragana was saying, your child just gets sick, and then you won't be able to finish something, to submit the application to the deadline, because if he's sick and you really need to take care of him, maybe you don't have that availability as you had before to just stay and work, I don't know how many hours till late at night, or days one after another. So then you need to make sure that you're in a team and that someone else can just pick up and and do what you are supposed to do. So I think that might be a solution. Just make sure that you're not alone, and it's not so much pressure on your shoulders only.
I must say, I don't agree so much about that the pressure comes only from within. The pressure comes from actually an industry that says you have to be up and doing stuff all the time. You have to be delivering. The payment is too low, so to be part of, you need to have several projects on board to actually survive economically. You have to be. You can't just disappear from the circuit because then you're disappeared, because circus, yes, it is actually like a circus, but you disappear. So it's not only a thing that, which this is actually equally all of us saying it's us, which this is that is the fear, is it is not us, it is something else putting the pressure. Because in other for instance, a friend of mine who's a psychologist who should have a lot of pressure working in that occupation, she doesn't have that pressure because everything is so organized around her work. So I don't want to give that to ourselves, is that we are the only one pushing ourselves. It is something within the industry that's strong, pushing us too far. That, yeah, this is my and again, so how are we going to deal with it? This is, I agree with you. We should actually we shouldn't be the only one working. We should have a team, and we try something you inspire so much for me, Irina, is that we need to have different legs standing on different legs, so we can actually relax a bit and focus on a few things we can do.
Well, in the rare moments of clarity, these things somehow seem very, very simple to me. You know, I mean, you just need to be reasonable. You just need to not do the things that will destroy you. I mean, you have a kid, you love your kid, you love your family, you want to be there. You also love your work. It's not something that only gives you money and you're gonna just, you know. So I mean, that's great. This is a kind of passion and love that I also want to infuse in my child. You know, whatever he does, just, you know, it's really cool when you love what you do. It's an added value to life, but don't let it destroy you. And I remember being so shocked when I saw. I didn't see it. Someone was explaining about the budget they made in Sweden. It was a friend from Eurodoc, a Swedish producer, and she said, "Well, yeah, you know, now we are," and I learned this from a male colleague of mine, because I saw it in his budget, and I said, "Really, you put the cost of a nanny in your budget?" Wow. And like, you know, Swedish Film Institute, they accept it. Well, yeah, but you like, and he was not, you know, someone else was taking care of his kids, but he was kind of sane enough to demand it and to put it, and now they are trying to make it into a standard, you know, because if you do a job which, when you are shooting, takes you away for 12, at least 12 hours for, you know, 6 weeks, and so you do that, for example, 2 times or 3 times per year, you really should have support, and this really should not be your, you know, shameful need. It should be somehow spread. You know, it should be everybody's business that people have kids. People need to find ways to do these things, and to do them in a way that will not completely make them lose their mind. So that's one of the things that I learned along the way, and actually maybe we should just all try to do that and see what the reactions are.
Just to add to that, the other day I was also on the panel on mental health in the film industry, and we invited Rebecca Day, who is a psychologist from UK, working explicitly with people from film industry. And she said, when I was saying that one of the reasons why there is lots of things about mental health, and even if people have a problem, they don't want to talk about it because, again, in industry, it's not really that you can find friends, but it can also be taken against you. And another reason could be that people simply don't have money to afford it. And then she also said, put it in your budget. So mental health and nannies from now on in your budget. And until we don't start putting it, we won't never get it. And another thing, what I was just thinking when Racha was saying that it's the pressure of industry in which we are, it will be amazing if our systems, which is like wishful thinking, especially from countries we come from, Bosnia, Serbia, maybe also Romania, is that there should be the budget from government that gives producers salary all year long just to be producer. And it doesn't mean that I wouldn't do nothing, just drinking my champagne in Cannes with this salary. But it's true that it should be something that is kind of ongoing support. And, you know, here we can talk about everything we wish, and that's how for Christmas it works. You say what you want, and sometimes you get it from Santa Claus. So let's keep saying what we want. In the budget, nannies, psychologists, and ongoing salary just for being producer. How about you, Dragana? You have something, another wish for Santa Claus for the Christmas?
Well, what you mentioned, Irena, now about the permanent salary, I mean, this is something similar that they have in France for intermittent du spectacle. So they have this system. I don't know it really well, but if you work for 3 months, then the rest of the year you are being paid or something like that. That's also a very good model. I mean, it's for the artists, but producers can use it as well. So that is something that could be, I mean, that is very not useful, but necessary these days. So I wanted just to say that exists as well. And what has been said, I mean, we said everything. I maybe just want to say that by being a mom, I learned how to prioritize, but with time, it took me a lot of time. So now, you know, I'm just dividing important from the less important, and then the most important needs to be done, and what is not that important has to wait, and that's it. I mean, you cannot do it all. That's just, and I agree with Racha that the industry basically presses you all the time, and that puts in your head that you really have to do this and this and this and be present everywhere, which is impossible, basically. You cannot be everywhere at one moment. And I think also that, you know, everybody let me go when I became a mom. So, but I really was like stressing myself out whenever I could. I was working, and we were finishing the editing of the film that we shot, and blah, blah, blah. So 1 year after, I was burned out completely. So when my son was 1 year old, and when the load went to Cannes, I was out of order completely. I didn't exist anymore for a year, I think.
Well, I would say there is definitely truth in the fact that industry pressures us, but I also now, after 20 years of doing what I'm doing, I also feel that, and I just had conversation with one of the emerging producers this afternoon, because she was saying, oh, I feel I should take 2 months off, but I cannot, because if I'm not around, you know, I won't get another project, they will not. But I actually don't believe that anymore, because the truth is that long time ago, like when, I don't know, 12 years ago, I burned out first time. And I was really making decision, am I gonna stay in this industry or not? And that was even before I became mother. And I stayed, but at that point I really made it so much more smaller what I was doing. I like had 2 films, one person only half day working with me. And I took some break, and some time after I came back, and as soon as I started, everything went back to normal. I went to IDFF, won an award for the best film. So it was, again, so I don't really think we should be scared of stopping, because the truth is, once when you started, you didn't know anything, you didn't know anyone, and you managed. Now you already know something, people know you, and even if you take a little break, the world runs so quickly that no one will notice that you are not there. We just think sometimes. And the same way, like you started first time, you'll be able to start second time. So I would like to take that off you, but still we can protest for having salary non-stop, even if you are. So that's just one thing. And the other thing that I also realized for myself, because I was also super lucky that my pregnancy was with no problems. Like I didn't even know that I'm pregnant up to 3 months. And then I was working all the way through. I only stopped not working, but traveling when I was 7 months pregnant, because they don't let you into the plane. Even though I heard if you give a birth in the plane, your baby and you get free tickets for rest of the life. So that was my plan, but it didn't work out. It's because they didn't let me into plane after 7 months. So I was going with the trains, but I didn't, in this period of time, I was working non-stop, and I didn't do anything for me. And then one day when I couldn't travel anymore because they didn't let me, I went for the yoga class for the pregnant woman. and there was all these like beautiful moms doing just yoga all day long. And I really felt it's shame that I spent 7 months of my pregnancy doing nothing for myself, not being in touch with my baby, with my body, with nothing. So for those who are planning to join this journey of adventure of being mom one day, I would definitely say plan it in your schedules, some time for yourself, because it's really beautiful and unique time. So that's something that I wanted to say. And now when I have a son, it's also like biting my heart. One day he said to me, Mama, why do you want to be a filmmaker? I was like, well, I love it. He said, but why? You work so hard. It's non-stop working. And then that was the first thing. And then he said, and then we won IDFA last year. And I was like, yay, we won IDFA. And he said, what that means for me now? You will work less? So, yeah.
I think it's, just to add to what you were saying, I think it's totally fine like to ask for help regarding anything, and not just being a mom, even if you're like a producer and you don't have a child, but you're still like, I think we should just avoid getting burnout. And I think all of us at some point, like each year there's somewhere in the autumn where you're close, and it shouldn't be like that. Just when you feel it's like perfectly fine. It's like we should learn, and we're also struggling in our company and with my colleagues. And I told them it's like, just take how much time you need off, because otherwise you're like just super exhausted anyway. I'm exhausted. We won't function normally. And then plus, when you have a family and you have a child, other stuff are added to the stress and work in the everyday, because then in the evening, of course, you also need to be able to dedicate some time to the child. And I think it's super okay to just ask any kind of help. And I have a producer friend now that she just gave birth, and I wrote her, it's like, anytime if you just feel maybe, I don't know, you have an urgency with one of your projects, just call us. I don't know, we will do it. So just have this in mind, that whatever, just give a call if you think that anything, because somehow someone will pick it up and do it. And she's not like in the same company with us, but I just felt, and she said, it's like, I feel I'm off tracks and I cannot do anything and so on. And it's normal. So each of us reacts differently to stress. So I think it was good that before giving birth, somehow I thought I shouldn't put pressure, because I don't know how it will be. Maybe I will be so overwhelmed about this and I won't be able to do anything work related. So let's not put pressure and ask for help, and just discuss. I think all the time, and Anta, my colleague, knows, whatever bothers me, I just throw it out. Maybe not all the time someone wants to listen to me, but I think that's healthy. It's like I just say it.
So I feel like to kind of think about it. So everyone is saying they love so much what they're doing. They love it so much. Like everyone is saying it all the time. This is like a passion, and we love it so much, and that's why. And that is the truth, and that's why we're keeping going on. The thing is that when I was pregnant, I did also this yoga, like, pregnant yoga, and my partner was saying, "Oh my God, you're doing this lifting your toe yoga." I was like, "Yes, so nice." So I did have this time off with me being pregnant, and took myself off. But I know that, and what you're saying, that we will come back, is it? But still, you feel like the pressure to continue, and again, after the son is born.
You feel it. So just stop a bit and see if the others are asking this from you, because I still feel that it's coming from you.
But still, if I don't do, I will not get money. This is the pressure. I am not employed. This is the difference. Being an entrepreneur, a person owning your own company. I'm in Norway. You're privileged where if you have a steady job, every month you get your salary and everything's fine. You go at 4 o'clock and everything's fine. But as a producer, as an owner of a company, you always think all the time. So I cannot just go away for 2 years. What happens left? So this is maybe not only the industry, but also owning a company. And again, one thing is having as a child the 1 year that, but afterward, you know, when your child is 4 and you have so many things on your board, this is also a trouble. And this is also the pain that a lot of mothers have. Am I doing a good job at work? Am I a horrible mother? This is every fucking day I'm having a feeling of that, which is terrible. And yeah, so it is a pressure. And because we are not so well paid, and doing documentaries is not a luxury, so we have to do 120, 140% to equal the income of a normal income in every country. Even like a lot of people say, yeah, in Norway you have so good funding. I said, yes, it's a lot of funding, but do you understand how high the income is? So to reach the normal income of a nurse or a teacher, I really have to work 140%. So this is the reality. So, okay. But we will talk about something really beautiful in the end, but now we're just talking, yeah. Sorry.
Just stay tuned. I don't know. I want to say something which has nothing to do with being a mother, because it's not works.
It's about being cook.
Yeah. About bird watching. About coming back, you know, from doing something else, from being a full-time mom and only that, because it happened to me, and I know more people who also had the same situation, that for some whatever reason they completely were out of the system, out of the community, out of the, you know, the documentary sphere. I mean, it's so easy to come back. It's at the point when I realized that, it was such a huge relief, because it's such a small community. It changes very slowly, and you know, I remember coming back from doing this other job that I've been doing for a few years, and then being pregnant and giving birth to my son. So we went with a film that we produced while I was doing all that. We went to IDFA, and I remember, you know, not being on a festival for 3 or 4 years. And there was a party, and I was completely, you know, I felt like all of us are feeling now after COVID, and, you know, now everybody can relate to me being completely, you know, perplexed, like, how do you talk to people? And, but I was surrounded with my co-producers, and I was telling them, like, I really, well, how do you do this? I'm so out of shape. And they were like, oh, come on. And then by chance, I was I was in a meeting with some friends who have been to Eurodoc. This is where I got the idea that I maybe I should go to, you know, a long-term training, and this is a way to come back mentally, to create a network of people who you will be close with. And I mean, this is the instant solution for my problem that I think I am, which is, you know, how to come back. So I did Eurodoc and then emerging producers year after year, and that was the smartest thing I could work, because now I have, you know, 10 plus 10 people who I really got to know very well. I learned so much, and I have completely lost this fear that if you are not there for a year, 2, 3, 4, something will happen, nothing will happen. It's just a matter of deciding, and if you apply yourself, you will, you know, get the ropes in literally a few months. So that was just a big
Fantastic.
win.
And not only that you get 10 plus 10 people that you can work with, you got 10 plus 10 mothers you can call and say, hey, I need to give a birth. Can you take care of this film? Or we go to the festival and we organize the babysitting rounds and application. I'm free now. Drop it with me. Good. Dragana, how about you?
I agree with with all being said already, and what Eva said. Basically, I did the same thing because I was so lost after this burning out year, and luckily I got a scholarship at Ji.hlava, and that was like my son was born in 2017, and this all happened after in 2018, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't have a project, which was really like a new project. I was developing Marta's documentary, and like that was all, and like before that I had like so many projects at the same time, but like nothing was happening, and even my son was so small I couldn't go to festivals because the load was traveling so much, so I was completely like out of the system. And then in 2018 I used my Ji.hlava scholarship and I went to Ji.hlava, and that really helped me a lot. And to come back to meet all these wonderful people and to understand that we all have similar problems wherever we live, in Norway, Sweden, or whatever, or in poor countries as we do, Eva and me. So I think that really healed me in a way. And what I also did is that I went to Ji.hlava without a project, which at the beginning I was ashamed of that. You know, I was like, oh, I don't have a project to go to. I mean, this is so stupid. But then, I mean, that was the best thing I did for myself, because I was working on myself and not on a project. And I mean, yeah, that's it. And now I have so many projects in development that I need someone to give them like a project to work on. So yeah, I mean that it will be that will no, nothing. That's it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think the projects are there. You will always find projects. It seems that it's something common. I also did a workshop like the year my son was born, maybe. And I think in general, each time if I think I did like workshops when I had some leaps in my career, and probably we just feel the need to be in an environment with people that deal with the same struggles and same problems. And it's like therapy, because then you go and maybe you say, oh my God, I have this project, this director is like everything. And then you come and say, I've also been that, maybe you should just, it's not you. it's so yeah, I really think that the networking industries can help a lot. But yes, I think you'll always find find projects. And sometimes I realize that if you work more, let's say you have 3 projects now and you're like super over busy, and of course you earn more money, but maybe if you do just 2 and a bit less money, it might be even better to you actually to have more time. And even though it's a bit less money, but also less stress, and you don't put this pressure that I don't have enough time for my son. I think it's, you don't need to be 8 hours, even though it's like just in the evening. My son stays in the kindergarten till 5. He can stay until 6 p.m. But then I know that in the evening, it's like we really dedicate time to him, and I never felt, and he's like in the kindergarten staying like the whole day since he was 2. And I think he's super well emotionally and everything. I really don't feel that. Yeah, I just think he developed even more doing things with professionals during the day. Yeah.
I guess it's all about choices. That it's like some people. I spent last 2 years living in India in a community where it's everyone about healthy lifestyle, and the kids should not go to school until 3, and then when they start school, they should be in school only till 1. But even there, they made a system that if you want to be part of this community, so I kind of lived double life. I lived life running my company from there and living what I need to live there. So I had to volunteer. And when you volunteer, the first year you need to volunteer 35 hours a week. But 35 hours a week, it's more than 1 hour till 1 p.m. when he's in school. So even there, where this like wishful thinking of how we spend time with our kids, it didn't really work out, because if you need to do 35 hours a week, it's more than, it's basically after 1 p.m. But Maybe if you want to comment on this, and I thought we can come back to this again, but I was also thinking what it's maybe interesting, and I don't know if that happened in your life, but when I was pregnant and after I gave a birth, the films I picked to produce or distribute changed. So that was something that I wanted to hear. Did your vision as a producer, as a creative producer, was influenced in any way by giving a birth? Because I picked, for example, for distribution in Taskovski films, 3 films about women being pregnant. When I was pregnant, it was 3 different stories with 3 different angles, but it influenced me. So that's another thing I wanted to talk about. But you wanted to comment something before.
Okay, so about I can go for your question about if it's changed the way, what type of topics. I'm not sure because I don't have a lot of projects working with. We choose very few things, but I think after getting pregnant and having a child, life matter more. So I wanted to use my time in a really good manner. What is important, and I didn't want to do hundreds of things just to do it. So this is a set of minds that changed me. And having a child, you understood that it is the most wonderful project you have, actually. Because you have many films, it's a project, but this actually lasts and give a meaning, which you did. It's very difficult when you don't have a child, but then you understand it at some point. Yeah. So this is what changed, that I actually didn't want to overwork myself totally. Coming back to the story of you wanted to do a film about pregnancy, this is when I said, oh my God, when I was, I said, I thought when I got a child out, how powerful women are. And we are really see very few films about women actually giving birth. And then I went in and tried to research about it, and we found out even in any art, there's a lot about death, very few thing about birth. And why are we not giving women and the importance of how it is to deliver? And usually when you deliver, if you see films about delivery, it is about the new child, not necessarily the woman. And this is also changed, that at some point I need to make this childbirth focusing of how beautiful and powerful these women are.
I think for me it's similar with what you say. I started to care more about my time. I had this problem, but I was getting, before having a child, I was like super fast, getting enthusiastic about a project, and I was jumping in too many projects and then not taking enough time to consider them better, and some collaborations from the beginning. So then I understood that it's perfectly fine to say no, because I realized sometimes I was just taking some projects because I didn't know how to say no. So then I was like having all of a sudden, I had this, I said, it's really, I need to take care. I cannot take too many. But in terms of subjects and topics, I don't think the pregnancy or having a child influenced that. I think I slowly throughout, I don't know, after doing some projects, I invested a lot of time in analyzing or understanding better what type of stories I would like or resonate with, and what kind of films I want to do. Because at the beginning you jump into, you want to understand and to learn what producing is, and you just take projects you don't know, and with experience then you are starting to be more careful and to care more about what you resonate with. But I don't think, I'm not into yeah.
I think it's different for you as a distributor, because you actually get to choose topics which are already done. I don't think it influences the films that I get interested in as a producer. But at the same time, I think that having a child, having this experience, influences everything in my life, probably including that, but literally profoundly influences the point of view that I have of everything in my life. I remember thinking about, having a kid before, but even now, and someone said it, and it resonated with me so much because someone said, like, procreating, having children is a completely irrational thing, because when you put it on paper, no one needs another child on the planet. We are overpopulated. You will be, even more overworked, and it's just a challenge which can be seen as completely self-indulgence. Like, in a way, it's irrational, but that was just a horrible, horrible thing to say in my point of view, because the way I see it now, it actually the most important thing and the core of it for me, and I think for every person in the world, for every woman in the world, is basically you tend to enrich your experience as a person, and like to evolve, and this kind of an experience is really unique, and the way you perceive future as such, of everything, of your life, of the planet, of your relations with other people, is so, it's just a different way of looking at everything, that is a unique perspective. And this is what I value the most in being a mother, for better or worse.
Dragana, do you have something to add? Or I was also thinking to ask, because if I understood well, each one of us has only one child. And that means this is the done production, or there are some new plans for pre-production of the second one? I'm sorry if I'm going into too private, but I'm only doing it because as we were encouraging those who are thinking of becoming mother and saying, yeah, let's do it, it's great. Do we say, let's do it and stay on one, or we just say, do whatever you feel like? And so what is it that you feel like? And maybe we can start with Dragana.
With me, I say do it as you feel like. I mean, I'm expecting a second child at the moment. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's maybe crazy or brave. I don't know how to put it now, but yeah, that was a decision that's been made in this home. So yeah, I encourage you to. I mean, if you want to, I don't know, because we were talking it, and we agreed, my partner and me, that even though it's super difficult, and because we don't have any kind of help, my grandmothers, or I don't know, we have a kindergarten, of course, but when he's sick, I mean, it's super complicated. The situation became super complicated. But even though we said, okay, but this is like the best thing we did in life, and we should have more kids. I mean, let's do it. So yeah.
Well, anything but perfect honesty would be completely idiotic now at this thing. I think I have reached my limit in more than one way. I have a health problem which made it almost impossible to get even here. And it was a huge leap of faith, and it took time to be strong enough to take it, and I took it, and it turned out well. And I literally, when I think about me having another kid, it just feels like being super greedy, because I'm happy with what I have, and I think that I know my limits, and this is my limit. So that's it for me.
For me, when I got my child, the first question afterward was like, when is the second's coming? I was like, oh, what do you mean the second? I was like, and it depends on which country you come from and the pressure to have more children. And again, this is something is put on women, is that one is not enough. You need to have the brother or sister, and it's putting really pressure on you. And I really like the way you said it is greedy to have 2 children. So I will try to think about it. But I think I really appreciate so much my work and the time and what I'm doing that actually I will feel I'm put on me that I feel I'm selfish not to get a second child because I need to do so much and I want to do much more.
Yeah, of course, we all receive, I think, this question, and do you want more, and so on. I don't know, for me we had Philip because we felt that we wanted a child, and it was, yeah, we both wanted, and everything was great. And even though, I don't know, we feel that it was super easy, the pregnancy was great, everything, so we felt it was not complicated, but then it's like we both feel that we don't want another child. I don't know. We just feel that that's how it's. But what I always answer is like, if I will ever feel again the desires, like how much I wanted to have this child, probably I won't stop it. So I would, seems a bit radical, like to say, no, I don't want another child. Even though I feel that somehow I will never feel having another one, but who knows, maybe in 1, 2, 5, whatever, maybe we will feel that we want another one, but I don't think so. I always say, just go with your feeling. Don't try to convince, is maybe 2 better, they should be, oh, it's always nice to have a brother, just because everything will be okay if you do it coming from desire, and that you totally, because that's when you will probably be super open for the experience and for everything. So don't, don't stress, and don't just think at some point because someone asked or everyone is asking, or I think it's like when we had the child, when everyone heard that I'm pregnant, they were like, what? No one believed. It's like, did it happen by mistake? I was like, why is it so hard? But it's like, you're so passionate and you're workaholic. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't mean it's my life. I can be passionate about what I'm doing and also care about my personal life and to wish about other stuff. It doesn't have to be that or that. It's like you have a family and then you cannot do anything else. I really think they can be combined, and it was like this. So just go with your feelings.
Well, now that I ask question, I should answer it also, I guess.
Yes.
So for me, I always knew that I want to have a kid. It was never like I don't have any judgment or any like anything to say to anyone. People can choose whatever they want. But I wasn't the mother who wanted to immediately have a kid as soon as I started walking. But I knew that I don't want to be not having a kid. And I come also from former Yugoslavia, where it's basically very common that you have a kid very early. And I had my first kid when I was 38. So until that point, I was the black sheep in the family because I was old woman not having kid yet. And just a couple of months before I became pregnant, my father came to me and started crying. Oh, what did I do wrong? Why I'm punished? Not you and not my son. No one has kids yet. And then Mission Impossible came up. James woman came and said, don't worry, I sort it out. And in 5 months, I was pregnant. So that was the first one, not because of my father, but it was because I also wanted it. I remember more importantly was one moment I just woke up and said, okay, I'm ready now. Whenever bring it, I can do it. And when I gave birth to the first one, and as you said, that's like the biggest thing I did in my life, and I did a lot. And I was like, wow, what the power we have. It's an amazing, amazing experience, unbelievable. In that point, I thought I can do more. And I was like, I want to have many and hug them. But then as the life was going on and you start traveling and you start working and again, well, actually not again, you just continue, in my case, I became selfish. And now, because I have an amazing partner as well, because thanks to him, I could do everything I do because he was taking basically care of my son and traveling with me. Now my son goes to school, so I'm thinking, if I get another baby, who will travel with me? Because he needs to take care of him in school. So I think that's it, maybe. But as I said, God knows, I don't know. and until the nature allows me, everything is possible. I'm not saying no, but yeah, so let's see.
Can I add something? I wanted to
Yes,
add
yes.
that, I don't think it's selfish not to want another kid or not to want kids at all. I mean, this is really like, you should listen to yourself. When I got the first kid, like I said, never, ever I will do this ever again. My pregnancy was super great, but my,
Giving birth.
giving birth was super difficult, and I almost lost my son, and I don't know, I didn't know what happened to me basically. And after that I said, no, this is like never again ever. But you know, like you forget with time, and like 4.5 years after, I'm like, you know, why not, maybe. But maybe that was crazy. We'll see. But I wanted to just say that it's not selfish at all not to, I mean, like, to want your life back, or like if you set it in a way that you don't want it to be disrupted, I mean, that's perfectly fine, and we all have the right to decide. And in Serbia, of course, we have these questions a lot. When the second one is coming? When are you going to get married? When the third one is coming? You know, the questions never stop. I mean, I'm always like, oh, fuck off. I really don't care. I mean, it's really, because how would that person feel if I would ask her or him whatever uncomfortable question I think for him would be, or her, like, do you work, or like, what about your husband, or these uncomfortable questions that people ask you, and they don't really have right to. So yeah.
Great, thanks. I wonder if we have anyone in the audience that would like to share something or ask something, like which month of pregnancy you are at.
That was nicely put. Share something.
Yeah, if there is no question, I don't know if we have a couple of minutes left to close it down, still some time. If there is anything that each one of you feels you would like to share to today's topic and that we didn't touch, because basically what we covered, we encouraged anyone who is interested in having kids not to be afraid of it, to do it because it's possible. We also just underlined it that we are not selfish if we don't want to have it or we don't want to have another one. We said that yes, industry is pressuring us, but it's not only industry, it's us. We said that we should make a schedule in which we make lots of time for ourselves while we are pregnant and after that, and that we will not lose anything if we do take so. We said that we should put in the budget nanny and psychologist, maybe also some massages. I like massages. And we touched many things. So what is left to say in the topic that we are talking about today?
Well, that the struggle never stops, and that it's not like you reach wisdom and then you got this, but it's just don't it's just life, but
Yeah.
but it helps to helps to talk and listen.
Yeah, and I think it's like we have, going back to like, okay, being producers and being mothers, it's like, I think we are producers because we are good at what we do. And it seems that we are all passionate. So I think that when you feel you're passionate, and it's okay to say that we are good at what you're doing, we just shouldn't be afraid that if you take a break from whatever reason, even though it's having a child, or then it can be for other personal reasons or vacation, it's fine. Nothing will, it's like we can come back at any time because we have the know-how, we are good at what we're doing, and it's okay. And okay, maybe we lost a project or something, or an event or a festival, but there are, yeah, it's the industry is overcrowded, and I think we will always find work to do. More important is that we have what it takes to do it.
Not producing films, we can sell fish on the market. anything, just to keep smiling.
Produce other stuff, not films.
Yeah, maybe we just before we came in, we met female director from Israel, and we said what we're going to talk about, and she said, well, actually, I just froze my eggs. So that's another thing that in our case wasn't maybe the case, but that's another thing that it's also true that many women, not only that they have dilemma, would they become mother or not, but sometimes maybe we were lucky once to find someone to start family with. And it's not only question, do I have a child or not, but what do we do when there is no one around to have it with? And the time it's passing, especially for us women, that there is nature made it. God sometimes makes some mistakes. I'm sorry, God, don't punish me. But we have some limits, no? So yeah, so she said she has a partner who is younger than her, and they don't feel ready right now, but because she's a little older, she doesn't want to miss a chance, so she just froze her eggs to have security that one day when they're ready, it's also possible. Just to share a little bit of other reality, that's one of aspect that some of you may be facing. But my take on it, like with everything in life, basically you do what you feel is good for you. Doesn't really matter what others thinks about it. And I'm also someone who would never think, is it possible? Because I think everything is possible, really. Always some solutions will come. And even if it happens that you need to have a child on your own, no one says that 3 years later down the line, you will not find the man of your life, even if it's not father of your son or your child. So basically, everything is possible.
Yes, no, but I think we should just continue to take this, have this talk, because as a mother that we travel so much and we do so much, we need to know that it's a pressure, and somehow we shouldn't make the same as it's so easy to say, yeah, it's so easy to give pregnancy, and we put it, and no one talks about how hard to actually deliver. And it is an additional layer to be a mother in this industry. And it should be addressed at some point and many levels. So we shouldn't make it is, yes, of course you can make everything, everything is possible, but it should be addressed and it should be serious. This is which is nice with the Swedish, that is, you have the nanny there, you put it, and it's important to put the nanny, it's important to put. So we need to talk about it and not simplify it. It's very important. This is my really, yeah. So yes, and this is my last. And just to be, I felt like I was always a negative one. So, but my rescue is that I have bought a place somewhere to go and have half a year where I will be in retreat and just be with my family. This is how I have solved it. So yes, and to be poor half a year and get to work another. So I have a kind of solution. Yeah. So there is a solution, but we need to talk about those subjects. Sorry.
Poor but happy, that's what it matters.
Yes.
Okay, anything from your side?
Maybe also to add that it's perfectly fine also for women that don't feel they want to have a child.
Absolutely.
It's also okay. So it shouldn't also be a pressure that, come on, you can do it. I'm sure that there are women out there, and also being in a relationship or marriage, that they just don't. So I think maybe also the pressure from outside shouldn't be like at all. And yeah, I agree with Russia that if we have more discussion, I think people will just be more careful when they have some expectation from a mother. And it happened, I know, with this pressure. At some point I had an actress in a film, and she was like shooting after 1.5 months after giving birth, and she was like the lead role. And sometimes she was a bit more edgy, and it's like, the first AD, and at some point I said, it's like, you really need to be, it's like, she's a super young mother, like new mother, is like, can you be a bit more careful with her? Of course she's here and she's giving like 100% and she's doing a great job, but just have a bit more compassion towards her. Maybe she's like this because she's here 12 hours per day with us and leaving her baby at home. So I think if it's addressed, maybe people will be a bit more careful because we are not all the same. Some mothers may be struggling more or have other issues. So
Yeah. And what I think it came out in this conversation, but also in the last year and a half of this Zoom meetings, what we said here when Eva was talking about going to the workshops and connecting to people, and then we said, as you said, like you have a friend in Romania who is not even in your company, but you said if you need, we can help. So I think that's also another thing, that a part of trying to change things in institutions and finding the ways how they can support us more. It's like creating our own networks, sharing and caring, as they say, connecting. Because anyway, with children or without children in this industry, it's not always easy to pass through. So connecting and creating our own ecosystems and helping each other, it's one way to go. So that's something to encourage. And then also what I wanted to share is that also now that we spent last year and a half on Zoom, and for example, even these emerging producers that we all shared together, and with Racha was on the Zoom edition, suddenly you couldn't run away from your family. So we were all in each other's houses. We were all meeting our kids, which was beautiful in a way, because I also felt before, it's again something that it's put on us that, okay, it's not appropriate to go to the meeting and talk about kids or bring kids along or whatever. I didn't care about that ever. I remember sitting in Docs for Sale market in IDFF doing breastfeeding and having my meeting. But we do always kind of take this, it's not appropriate. So suddenly, as we had to be on Zoom from the home, and all the Italian family with our colleague from Naples was there, and she was making pizza and talking to us, and the other one was breastfeeding. At that time, I think it was beautiful to connect and not run away of the fact that we are just humans and we all have different but still share realities. And as we choose to do the job that it's passion-based, and it takes so much of our lives, there is no way other than just bring the life on with you. So that's from me to kind of... We still have 9 minutes to go.
is it like we should?
Well, if there is nothing, if there is nothing much to share, we can also kind of wrap it. But if you have some final words to say to close it, we can.
I can just add with the family. Again, I think it's good also in a company, in a team, in whatever. I think it's so important to discuss, you know, when you go in the morning and it's like, oh, how was your date? How's your child going? Is everything okay at home? I think so. It's important to your family to be present and you to know about your colleagues, what happens with their families. I think is just this human level, which is so important before anything like work and so on. I think we should just pay attention to people around us and what they need.
I actually came up with one last thing that I would like to share. When it comes to kids, because we mentioned a few times we feel guilty, and then sometimes we said selfish, and then we corrected ourselves. So we should not be saying we are selfish, and I agree with that. But it's also, I really believe that even though we may not spend as much time as we wish or our kids wish to have us with them, but I also think it's really important that the kids still see that you are happy, because what they need is happy, loving mother more than anything. And I also think in a way, the way we are, that's how we influence our kids. Like what you said, you would love your kid to be passionate, maybe not about filmmaking, better about banking, but that's a different story. But I think it's the way we are, we influence them even without knowing, no? So it's, I think that's the beauty. I can say for my son, he's only 7, but he has been almost on every corner of the world by now. And he knows old cultures, he knows lots of languages, he's very open, and you know, he talks to many people. And I think, yes, maybe I was not there as much as he wanted me, but every time we spent time together, he got so much out of it that I'm sure, not just to make myself feel less guilty. Um, it's true in there that they actually just need to see happy mothers, and that our work and my being gives him what he needs, even if it's not classical mama, whatever that means.
Well, it means different things in different cultures. I mean, you know what it means in our part of the world. It's mom who's always there, who's putting her I don't know, ambitions behind, and but it's definitely about then do you have a happy mother who is, or do you have a frustrated mother who feels like things are just passing her by, and she becomes hating her life, herself, and everybody around, which is the worst thing. But at the same time, with the with the media application that I keep insisting on, I was so unhappy, and a baby feels it. So this was like a textbook example. I was miserable. I was doing something that I think that I wanted, but it wasn't what I needed. So when what you need and what you want collide, when these things collide, it's, well, you are in the middle. So I don't know. Now I'm trying to be reasonable and to really listen to what I need, and maybe what I want is a bit superficial. So I correct myself, and it's the struggle goes on, because we we try to become mature, but even when you're 40, you're not all the way there. I mean, unless you're a Yoda, and there are not many Yodas around. So but the thing is, even panels like this, they now some of them happen because there's it's expected now to tackle the subject. It's expected to give it time and space and attention, and I really think this is, the structure should be there, but also what you said, exercising this, the importance of this topic in a very everyday conversation. Just taking it for granted that that it's okay to have children, it's okay to spend time with them, and not to be this completely heartless machine, a shark of a producer, or a director who for whom it's completely okay to be I don't know, to be what's more than dedicated, crazy dedicated, counterproductive dedicated. I don't know. It's hard to find balance, but I think this is exactly what we should be doing all the time, trying to find a balance, even though we slip. All of us, we slip, doing whatever, being a doctor or being a producer. You kind of lose yourself, but then just, stay corrected somehow. I think this is the best we can do, and just keep talking about this. And we should use this opportunity that now it's very it's active, this conversation about equal rights, mothers in production. It's not cheesy to talk about it. We should just not stop, because out of that something reasonable will come out. So I'm very happy to to be a part of it.
Well, I think that sounds like great closing words to me, unless someone else wants to share something else. And if not, then we will thank Ji.hlava Film Festival for inviting us, to giving us this opportunity to start talking about these important things. And we'll be looking forward to next year doing more of this in Ji.hlava. In the meanwhile, we can do it in every other festival that comes from now on, and start making a revolution for paid producers and a network of mothers helping each other. Great, thank you.